Luke 23:46 also bears this out when it talks about when Jesus cries out with a loud voice, he says, quote, "Father, into your hands I commit my spirit," end quote. There's an intuitive distinction quite obviously here between his body that's on the cross and his body that shortly thereafter dies, and his spirit, which is taken up to be present with the Father, which is consistent with the reading of 2 Corinthians 5 already given, where he goes up to be with the Father in the presence of the Father. He literally goes to be in the presence of the Father, and that's what he's describing as his state. He's committing himself to God. Now, some would take this to mean more generically that his breath goes to be with the Father, breath being a sort of a mere cessation of existence, and he gives back his life to God. Now, even if he were saying that, that certainly wouldn't be inconsistent with the view that there is a soul or spirit that goes to be in the presence of God. But it seems to be that there is more going on here when we consider it in light of other passages that we've described already and in light of the Old Testament teaching. It's important to point out that if Jesus goes to be with the Father in terms of his divine nature, then he would cease to be human at that point, having ceased to exist as a human, which would entail a form of what's called Apollinarianism, which is a heretical teaching and which has been deemed by the wider Christian church as unacceptable and leading to aberrant teachings. If we get our Christology wrong, certainly it's going to affect our anthropology, and it's going to affect, well, our overarching theology that we have of God. And it's important that the revelation that we have in Christ, that we get that right, because that's a revelation both of God and of man, or of human beings. And so what we say about Christ normatively has implications for what we say about anthropology, or what we say about the human. And so we cannot affirm this kind of heresy where the divine person goes back, the second person of the Trinity goes back to be with God the Father without his human nature intact, which again entails some sort of heresy. Further buttressed by the context that Jesus when he's talking to the thief, he tells the thief that he will be in paradise. And the translations today, despite reports to the contrary, uniquely place emphasis on the timing of today. So this is vital for our understanding that the passage's unique point, among others, is that the phrasing is used in an important way. And the fact that Jesus, right before his death on the cross, prays to God, saying, "Into your hands I commend my spirit." These two facts together corroborate this teaching about the afterlife and the immortality of the soul. This too confirms that there is something uniquely about the person going to be with God in heaven at the time of bodily death regarding Christ, as well as the thief on the cross. These are, when read together, they mutually reinforce this reading that something is going on at the moment of death into the afterlife. There is something about the anthropology that is at stake.